who was posting on
Yo,
Discord. Hey, good afternoon, ladies and germs. Tex and Ads here with you for another Thursday night market sesh. Another interesting week, Ads.
absolutely there has been, hey.
Whew, getting very close to the BTC halving, and you and I were just talking a second ago before going live. Saying that technicals really mean shit right now because because when it comes to the halving, obviously this is one of the instances where and last week, just very quickly, I know I keep talking about this almost every Thursday. We spoke to Bitcoin Jack last week, where he said that retail money does not move markets. Period.
Yeah,
It's the institutional, it's the multimillionaires, it's the whales that move this market. But I think this is one of the very few occasions, like the 2017 run, where retail money is having an effect on structure of this market at the moment, whether it be minimal to a degree. But it's certainly a phenomenal market for the whales to distribute their sellings or their sells into FOMO buyers or the dumb money or the late buyers, whatever it is that you want to call it. So, as per our Tuesday night session inside the inner circle, and also our mini market update that I posted last night, things have been playing out well. They're respecting TA to a degree, but right now it's still, we are still, listen, I'll go on record by saying that I still believe we have a blow off top, potentially around the 10-10-2 mark.
yeah,
But right now, the thing that's holding us back is that let's say the 9.5 area between 9.5 and 9.750 is really sort of my major areas of concern. Why? Well, looking to the left there, we've got that huge daily wick. The huge daily wick that we had here at the 1st of May. This is sort of the resistance area from here. The 9.759 mark still sits at here, and then we get up towards this next supply
yeah.
zone around that 10-10-2. And we've been saying this for 3 weeks now, I think.
Yeah.
That looking at this overall macro downtrend line, each time we've hit it, we've had like a blow off top and then a reversion back to sort of the mean, back towards that channel that we've got. Because if we look at our lower lows in that macro downtrend channel, we're still technically in a downtrend until we break that 10-10-2 sort of mark and then head back up. But as we sort of said last night on our mini market scan, we were expecting a breakout of this descending structure, a retest, and then a potential run back up. And we're seeing that thus far. But Ads, I'm interested to get your thoughts, man. What are you thinking at the minute?
The thing is, there's a whole lot of like sentiment in the whole space where we're going to pump for the halving, and I think that's got a lot to do with what we're seeing on the chart, Ty. Because
Yeah.
I honestly, like I said this morning in Discord, I did post an update this morning in Discord for our inner circle guys, and I said the last thing I said on that, the last line I wrote was a pullback is necessary, but it's not expected, and
Yeah.
and that's fun. It's just fundamental, news and the halving and everything like that. That's really making me think that.
Yeah.
Not only that, is that I was made aware today, if we look on the higher time frames, Ty, and if I turn some of this TA off and we just look at the Ichimoku for a second, we've got, Kumo twist turning green. We've got a TK cross bullish. We've just punched through that Ichi cloud, which is on the standard setting, Ty. So it's looking good for a little bit more upside, probably to, like you said, the 9.7 mark. And even if we can get to this main swing, which is obviously that run up, and then we've got that pivot up here at about 10k even, pretty much, or 10,050. And even if we jump on the higher time frame again, you can see that what Ty was referring to when we're still in that downtrend. We've got the blow off top here, got our lower low, and potentially making another lower high here before a potential move down, and that could be that dump after the halving that we've all seen and we've all come to understand over the past couple of weeks as we've been looking more into it. So, I do think there's more in it in terms of upside for now, but that's just fundamental driven.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
weekly, that was chart porn. That was
Yeah.
that was
I'll go back to the weekly.
that was making me tingly. That was because, looking at where we see on the higher time frames on the RSI, the 50 level is usually where we see a rejection, and also a level of support when we come down and retrace from a higher time frame. The 50 is really the median mark. I call it the 50 fib, if you will, like a very sort of big psychological point, a heavy level of support or resistance. And we've now broken through that. The 60 is where we're sitting. So even though we're looking at the CCI becoming sort of slightly towards the higher end of that parallel channel, it really means nothing when you look existing to where it has breached out. That doesn't mean a great deal. We really use the CCI rather for divergence, but looking at the RSI is a little bit more sort of a reliable indicator of trend, if you will, in terms of how the parallel channels are respected. We've still certainly got move to the upside there, ready to go. And like we said, looking at the weekly, we've got cloud resistance here. So this is our next challenge, if you sort of will. The second challenge is the top of the cloud at around 10K. And then, is 12K out of the equation? No, it's not. Typically, if there weren't a halving event, I would look at that and say there's absolutely no chance of it. But like I said to ads beforehand, this is sort of what I'm. That's rough. This is sort of what I'm looking at the minute. And even if you want to go a little bit sort of lower than that beforehand, but the thing was, every time we've sort of hit this downtrend line, we've had a blow off top, we've had a reversion back to sort of the mean, back to the high levels of volume, which I'd be interested to actually look at on the weekly ads. I don't think I've looked at that as much if we stick our volume profile on it.
VPVR on the absolute weekly, it gives a little bit of a skewed picture. Let me try and fix that a little bit.
You know what I'd like to actually get you to do, ads, which would be good, is to go to zoom out a little bit.
Yeah.
And go to your indicators and go to fixed range and pull it from there to there. Just go to your volume profile.
Oh, sorry, volume profile, fixed range.
Fixed range. Click out of that and click from that swing low to swing high, and let's see where sort of the biggest volume nodes are at the moment, and change that to 120.
Hang on a sec. Okay, yeah, cool. I see what you're doing. 120.
Oh, sorry, 100 rather.
100. Sorry.
And we can sort of, if we zoom in, we can sort of see where some volume nodes are for that period. So it still sort of sits at around, even though obviously you're not going to take that into consideration. That's where we ran down to. That's fine, but this is sort of our volume range from here, which is again between sort of, around the 10 to sort of 10.2 level. So this was our higher volume range from here, and this would sort of be the upper levels of that again, around 10.2, 10.3. So at the moment, this is the time where, although we don't advocate sitting in front of the screens a lot, this is a time where you really need to be cautious of the plays that you have in place. This is where you need to have tight stops. This is where you need to have not too much exposure in terms of high leverage, high position sizes. I think you just need to really play smart here. As I said on Wednesday night to our inner circle guys, I'm 75% BTC, I'm 25% PAX in the event that we do get that blow off top and then we revert back sort of down heavily. I've got some BTC or PAX rather on the sidelines ready to scoop up any sort of cheap BTC, because if we look back to 2016 and we did a pretty in-depth analysis comparison with 2016 BT halving event, it was 22 days post halving that we had, I believe it was a 27 or 32% drop, which was like 600 to 480 or something like that. But the thing is, we can't expect the same sort of timeline to be respected because the market's more liquid now. We've got more volume in the market, and things tend to play out a little bit slower than what they did when it was a $480 coin or a $600 coin. So very interesting. You can see where we got that supply level drawn up around the 10K. If I'm going on record, that's what I'm expecting at the minute. The 9.5 area is going to be very important. 9.7 area is going to be the next level of resistance, in my opinion. 9.9, 10, 10.6, 10.5, 10.2, 10.6.
Yeah, if we're talking about supplies, Ty, let me just clean up the chart a little bit. Let me just get some stuff out the way so we can see. But yeah, honestly, supplies, that would be my levels. You'd be looking at this major pivot point, obviously coming up to the top and then, breaking us down. So that's the major pivot point right there. And then, we've got another one here, which we were rejected on, late last year, October. I've just kept that in there, just in case. It does make the zone a bit large, but honestly though, we've got our fibs drawn from, swing low to swing high in the immediate term on the 4 hour, and that 61 looks fantastic there. So look, it's anyone's guess. I'm not saying that, we're calling it right now, but honestly, fundamentally, and on the higher time frames, if we're looking 3-day weekly, it does have room.
Yeah, have a plan or plan to fail, as we say. And I don't think I've ever seen our Discord so active as what it's been the last few weeks. Like, everyone is just going mental with charts, and it's phenomenal to see. And some of the other things as well. Me, as the non sort of techie sort of guy that I am, did my first live Discord stream yesterday, and we had a bunch of the guys in there talking about ADA. We were talking about EOS, BTC, ETH. And a lot of the charts that we charted up have actually played out quite well. And in terms of the BTC alt pairs, as we sort of said, as the halving starts coming nearer and nearer and BTC and ETH run, we're more likely to see the USD pairs do quite well and the BTC pairs fall quite hard. So shorts have been rampant at the moment. We had a really nice short, a 3% short overnight. That's 30% on 10x leverage, where a lot of us sort of play on ADA. We've had some EOS downage, which has been really nice as well. LTC was another one that we were playing with the guys as well. And obviously, ETH 195 was our major demand zone, which we should probably have a look at now, and talk about.
On BTC chart?
No, the ETH USD pairs.
USD pair. There you go, mate.
And that's it. So we've hit that twice, and we've had two really nice plays on that in the last couple of days. The first one was here when we rejected down. The second one was this morning, where we bounced down to that. So we went from 195 to sort of 205 very quickly, and that was a really nice, like, super simple play. That was really easy money.
Yeah, and crazy how those fib extensions really work, Ty. Hey. haven't moved the fibs at all.
Yeah.
They loving that, mate. Loving that.
Set and forget. And for the Tuesday night guys, for our inner circle guys, we did a pretty big deep dive on our GAN fans on Tuesday night and the efficacy of how they're sort of working as well. Awesome to see some charts coming from you guys from the inner circle. And again, our GAN fans being respected very, very well on ETH/USD at the moment. So it's been a really profitable coin to trade the last 2 months. 2 months really, from like 120 upwards. It has been a really nice coin to trade. So still standing by the fact that I feel like you will make more money trading ETH than BTC this year, but that's just my thoughts. But we've seen this demand zone being penetrated now. I am seeing some weakness on ETH/USD at the moment. We're not making any clearer higher highs as we once were, although, as I said on Wednesday, we do tend to sort of go up, we consolidate, we dump, we go up, almost like this wave pattern. So is this a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 perhaps? Could there be an ABC correction, like a head and shoulders that we might see there? Potentially. But at the moment, what's pulling ETH up, in my opinion, is BTC.
Absolutely.
So it will be very interesting to see where ETH runs post halving, and if we do get a pretty severe rejection once we potentially come up to this 240 supply zone, which is where I'm still looking if we can hold this position, because you've only really got to look left to see that there's the structure here is prime. If we can hold this area for a run up, there's not much holding that back, but we've got to be patient. We've got to wait.
Yep. That would be the level to shoot for, Ty. If you were macro bullish on Ethereum, which most of us have been, obviously, since late March and coming into April, that would be the target to go for. That is a fantastic pivot, and that's where I would be shooting for. So 240 definitely on the cards, like you said.
Yeah, 100%. And it's just been stupid easy money on ETH lately. Really, really stupid easy money. So we'll continue trading that one, as are a lot of our guys inside the inner circle. So that's been a really, really nice play. Looking at that one very closely. Some of the alts. ZRX had like a 23% pump today. Adam, if you're watching this one, kudos to you, brother, because you called that inside the inner circle last night, and I wasn't in front of the screens last night. The boss wanted some time, so I had to pull myself away from the screens a little bit. She was getting a little bit angry at me about being in front of the screen so much, so I had to pull back. ZRX had a phenomenal run, and beyond that, 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago, I spoke about ZIL. Unfortunately, I didn't get in on ZIL, but I said that was going to be the coin to watch if we had a pump, and that's done 53% in the last week and a half. So I'm absolutely kicking myself for that, as I am ZRX, because looking left, this was a phenomenal demand zone and a very, very well-respected demand zone. So spewing on that one, but Adam, congratulations on getting on that one, man, if you did. And the reason why, as we said in the inner circle, what I typically look for with ZRX, it's like my default coin to go for after BAT has a run, because we've done so many fractal comparisons on BAT and ZRX in the past, where it's, this was actually the last one that we made, which was this one here, this W bottom, before this run up. So I remember this clear as day back in early April or March, where we were talking about that. We had a really nice run from there to that structure there, and since then it's sort of toyed in this area. But this is one that I typically always watch, but unfortunately missed that one. But yeah, really, really nicely respected. I would most likely be expecting a rejection at this point here. If we do break above there, then certainly there's room for it to move up, perhaps up towards that 2800 sat mark. But right now, I would certainly be taking profit and just watching to see where ZRX goes. But still looking at our indicators, Steamroller in particular, and our RSI, potentially still a little bit of room to move at.
Plenty of room to move on ZRX. It's a little bit tricky to really spot the levels if we're drawing in these supplies and demands. Obviously, we've got one drawn in up the top here, and that's been respected a few times so far. But if we were looking at the immediate term, I'd probably zoom it into the 4-hour tie and try and get a little bit more information. So obviously, if we can look at, if you're not familiar with supply and demand, it's working on market pivots. So obviously we've got one here coming down. So market pivoted up, come down. We've got another one here. And ironically though, looking at that pivot, if we're drawing our zone in, bang, across, use the entirety of the candle, and there we go. That was that target for that move today, Ty.
Yeah, and if you do want to learn more about supply and demand, we've written a pretty extensive guide, and Ads did a sort of like a 55-minute Q&A with some of our inner circle guys. So you can go to unitytradinggroup.com/supply and demand for the last supply and demand guide you will ever need.
Exactly. And if you don't know how to do it, learn it, man. Learn it.
It's for the hour or two that you'll spend learning about this, it will pay ridiculous dividends. That's why it's used so heavily in Forex and so well respected. So let's have a look at a couple of other alts. I want to look at XRP USD, and I want to look at ADA and EOS, because we've had a lot of discussions about ADA and EOS inside the inner circle the last couple of days. I'd love to get your thoughts on it.
Well, XRP has been doing what we've expected. So we did reach that market pivot here, and then just falling short. We're just having that front run there on XRP. But if we zoom into the 4-hour tie, probably reveal what we've used to draw our latest level. So using that candle there. We've had 2 touches right now, so 2 positive trade outcomes on that one if you are using that level. So not bad, but in any case, though, we are still descending from that level here. So from, the 23 cent mark, XRP is still descending. And I think on Tuesday, we did say it would probably revisit this level once again. But look, there is room for it to descend even more. And I'd probably pick, this level down here to get, just a little bit stronger in terms of a level to buy off. Obviously, this level's been used a number of times so far, so it probably makes sense for this to fail very shortly and then fall back down to our 19 cent mark where we did pull from, and that would give us a pretty much 100% retrace on this current move. But that's where I would pick XRP USD for the immediate term.
Yeah, well, look at where we are now in terms of the RSI. We're sitting
Yeah.
directly on that sort of 50 level again, where we would expect a rejection from a move off the lows here.
Hmm.
But similarly to ETHUSD, we're seeing this sort of that's a bit sort of rough. This sort of pattern, this
Yeah.
descending wedge pattern.
Yeah.
So if we don't hold, I would expect that when we do hit, yeah, and we could see something like this as well.
Hmm.
Uh, I would anticipate if we do hit this demand, we may have one last little run up. If we don't break this line and then head back up towards the highs of around 22 cents, 25 cents, which I'm not seeing incredibly likely at this point, then yeah, that demand zone does look good. But the only reason why I would look for towards XRP as a potential move to the upside is because it tends to follow BTC movement.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
more often than not, when we do get a heavy BTC run, we often see XRP follow afterwards. So, in my opinion, if we do get a move up, but again, the interesting thing is, and as we said, with BTC pairs and with some USD pairs, rather, people are pulling out of other coins to load up into BTC. So, it's not always sort of cut and dry, and as you would expect with TA with a lot of these other coins.
Yeah.
So my main focus is BTC and F at the minute, but XRP would sort of be the third one of that if I was looking to trade any other coins.
Yeah, absolutely. My main ones FUSD, BTC USD, and XRP USD is what I usually keep an eye on when BTC has its big moves and runs. Usually those three tend to follow Ty, like you said.
Unji. All right, let's look at two more and then we'll call it a night. Let's have a look at ADA BTC. That's another one we've been trading.
Add a BTC right there for you and played out nicely, Ty. There you go.
Twice. Wow.
Twice.
It's almost like those fibs are useful or something like that. I don't know, man. I'm still trying to figure it out,
I
but
don't know.
they're kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. They work. They work to some degree. I wouldn't put too much weight on it.
Yeah, so that line that we drew in was from Tuesday night with our Tuesday night session, calling that like a bounce ads. We can see that our steamroller was really heavily oversold in
Yeah.
this region. We had a high level of selling volume. And again, as we sort of said, the BTC pairs are going to start to pull back as people start to launch into BTC with the expectation of a run up pre-halving. And and again, that was a pretty easy trade. We shorted from the 50 fib yesterday down to the 61. I think it was 2.5 or 3%
Yep.
that we took overnight. I was within like sats of getting wicked out on my stop loss last night, but just managed to scrape in and took some nice profits. I took it a little bit too early, admittedly, but it was still around. I think it was 2.2%, which is around 22% that I took at 10x on ADA. So pretty happy with that one.
If this 61.8 doesn't hold and we get some closes below that, I would very, very much expect this demand to break and fall towards the 78.6. And I'm liking this cluster around here, Ty.
Yeah, that was the discussion, let's say the very healthy discussion that a lot of us were having today inside Discord. We were talking, I was sort of saying, hey, like, listen, I think we might potentially see a bounce here. I was looking at Steamroller, our CCI and our RSI sort of being towards the oversold levels.
Yeah.
But and then our guys were saying, well, maybe not, like maybe this next level of demand, I'm pointing it with my mouse, but you can't see that. This next level of demand down here is probably going to be more relevant. But
Yeah.
Certainly sort of seeing if we have a temporary bounce and then maybe a move back to that demand zone at around 500 sat. So I love it when our students have healthy disagreements with us, because it keeps us on our toes and it makes us look at things from a different perspective. So kudos to those guys.
Absolutely.
All right, EOS, last one, and then we'll call it a night.
EOS. Whoa. Big sell-off on EOS.
Heavy sell-off. PB, if you are watching this, brother, well done. You have called that like an absolute gem. That's hit all-time lows there now on... oh, no, it hasn't. Sorry, excuse me. We're heading back down towards some very oversold levels. I think the next level we were looking at was around the 2,000 sat mark, I think it was.
I would probably pick it. It's a tricky one, bro. I'd probably pick it here, I reckon. I like that. I like that right there. 2,000 sats at the bottom.
Yeah, I think that's where PB is looking at as well for EOS for a nice little pickup. So patience pays, and that's what we sort of said with ADA, and that's what you said with EOS. Sorry, with ETH rather, where we had picked up some off demand at 195. Not looking for the immediate short positions, but looking to load up on some really healthy longs. And that has been the case, or sort of the theme for the last couple of weeks. So it's paid dividends as of late. But yeah, really heavy sell off on EOS, and admittedly, I think we still got a little bit more to go.
Yeah, fair enough. That's fair enough. The major pivot is that 2000, 22 to 2000 sat mark, where we see that that cluster of candles here. It could be a little bit higher, tied 24, 2400 ish. Yeah, but around there. If you're averaging into this, for a decent long on the longer term time frames, 3-day weekly chart, maybe even the 1 day, depending on how often you're looking at it. I think anywhere between 2500, 2400, even all the way down to 2000 sats going to be healthy.
Yeah, 100%. So that's the market scan for this week. Had a really, really amazing reaction to our interview with BTC Jack last week. I'm just going to send you this very quickly, ads in the chat. Next week on the Trade Hacker podcast, we've got at this point we've got around 3 months worth of podcasts banked. At this point, we've got some incredible guests coming up. Crypto Says, Zoran Cole, Satoshi Heavy, Brent from Blockchain Blitz, who was quite a large ICO advisor back in the day. So our next episode next week will be with Crypto Says, where we get an entire hour and 20 minutes behind the scenes of his Ikagai waves and particles trading system that talks about really advanced trading strategies on Ichimoku, Garn pivots, waves. It was the most eye-opening gift of a chat that I've ever experienced with any of our guests before, and we recorded all of it, and he's happy for us to share that. So next Thursday we'll release that with his permission. We're just finalizing some edits and everything with him at the moment. He called the 3-2 bottom from the 19 top using a little bit of math, and he shows us exactly how he did that. He predicted the BTC run in early January. In July 2019, he shows us exactly how he did that using his pivot system and a whole bunch of stuff that literally just blew my mind. I had to edit out a couple of pauses because I was just gobsmacked, and I didn't really know what to say when he was showing us some of the stuff he was showing us. So a phenomenal trader, really, really, really unique in the way that he shares information. Very, very different to anyone that I follow on Twitter, and really, really excited to share that with you next week on episode 9 of the Trade Hacker podcast.
Perfect, man.
All right, everyone, trade safe. Have your stops in place. Have a plan or plan to fail, my friends. We're at a very, very important time. Don't get caught on the wrong sides of these trades. It's easy money-making territory right now, so don't waste the opportunity, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Absolutely. See you then.
See you guys. Bye-bye.